name is Joe Wilson, and this is Data with Joe. So, in today's episode, I'm going to be showing you how you can upload data into your Anaconda Navigator Jupyter Notebook environment and perform some analysis on your data. So, let's assume the data set is stored on your local computer. As you can see, here's the data set on my desktop right here. So, now what we're going to do is get this data set into Anaconda, launch the Jupyter Notebook environment, and perform some analysis using Python. And if you're wondering what is Python, Python is one of the most popular programming languages that is widely used in data science. So let's go ahead and get this started. So the first thing we want to do is spin up our Anaconda Navigator. Yeah, I have my Anaconda Navigator. I just double click on this and it will take few seconds. There you go. And what I want to do is just launch my Jupyter Notebook. But before doing that, as you can see, there are many other IDE, and IDE just stands for Integrated Development Environment. That is where you can perform different analyses and do different work just for your data science project. But what we are focusing on here today is Jupyter Notebook. So I will just click launch, and while it gets set up, it leads you to a web interface. And the next thing we want to do is do some analysis, right? So how do we go about doing that? Is probably want to use the desktop because that's where the data set is stored. So we don't want to use the long way of getting the file path, copy the file path, and paste it into your code to run it so that the file can be located, because the file is stored on desktop. So that makes things easier for us. So I'll just click desktop, and the next thing I'm going to do is launch a new kernel, and make sure you select Python 3 kernel. So there we have it. We now have our Jupyter Notebook that is up, and everything is happening over the internet, just to be clear. So the next thing I want to do is to write some Python codes, right? And so what we want to do first is to import a few libraries. Now I'm just going to import 2 libraries just for the purpose of this demonstration. The first one is pandas. And the next one will be numpy. Now we have imported the 2 libraries. This is how you write a Python import statement. And we run a library. So the next thing, we want to load our data set into this environment and perform some analysis. So we will write a Python code. And because this is a CSV folder, so we have to read this CSV file as a pandas data frame. And the way to write the Python code is this. Good. Our df equals to pd to read underscore. Want to make sure we type underscore CSV, and then you open a parenthesis, and you make sure you have the quotations. And I went ahead and previously copied the file name. That makes it easy. So I'm just going to paste. This is in CSV. So yeah, with this, the next thing we want to do is just go ahead and read. So what happened is that you did not see anything, but what is happening here is that we have already read the CSV file, converted it as a pandas data frame, and it is in this data frame. So how do we know that this worked? We want to do some output. Well, we want to get some output. And the way we're going to do that is just print maybe the first 5 rows in the data frame. type our print statement, and we want to wrap that in our data frame, and we want to do dot head, and we'll also wrap the number like this. So we are now printing the first 5 rows in our data set. There you go. So this is the first 5 row in our data set, right? And also, if you want to know what are the numbers of columns in your data set, it's very easy to do that. And you write a Python code just like this, and always start with a print statement. So before going on with the print statement, we want to have the column names, right? Let us assign it. First, what we would do here is we say column underscore names. So you go to data frame dot columns. So what we are doing here is we are assigning the column names to this right here, column names. So wherever you see df.columns, that is the data frame, we will look through all of the names of the columns on the top here and assign it to column names. So when we do that, we run it, then we want to print the column names. So let's go ahead and write a Python code to print the column name. Again, it's pretty straightforward. We say print and just type the column names. COLU underscore. Yeah, so that's how we want to know what are the names in the columns of our data frame. And we run this. So as you can see, we have PID, STM, ST name, own occupied, number of bedrooms, square feet, and it gives you the type of the data. So the data type here is an object. That's how you know what are the names, what are the column names in your data set, and also what type is it. This is an object, right? So another thing we want to do is, let's say we want to get information on a specific column in our data set. Well, how can we go about doing that? So the way we can go about doing that is say you want to print get information on the street name, right? As we can see in the data set is the street name. Assuming we don't know, we want to find the street name, and this Python code works on any amount of data set. It doesn't matter how big or small the data set is, the concept remains the same. So let's go ahead and print that. So here is how you write a Python code. You say print, and what we're going to do is wrap this print statement. We say df, then we give it a bracket, open bracket, and we want to have the name of a specific column, right? So let's say street name. Now don't forget to put it in the quotation. st underscore num. Sometimes it's easier if you just copy the column name just like this, right, and paste it in. But we're not doing that. So let's see what information we will get from this. Right. Okay. And then we run the cell. There you go. So we printed a street number. Oh no, not the street name. Yeah, we printed a street number. And yeah, so this is how you get a specific information on a specific column you're looking for in the data set. And guess what? It gives us the data type, right? This is a float because we have some decimal values, right? So as you can see, 104.0, 197.0, 201.0. Now, another way of working with the data set is you want to know if your data set has null value, right? And null values are just maybe sometimes there is a mistake. The actual data wasn't recorded. Null value is not zero, right? So maybe it's the space is just empty. Sometimes if you're taking a survey and you the respondent probably did not answer the question, or sometimes doing data entry, the the person entering the data made a mistake and people jump over a specific column. So all of these things can happen, and you want to check how correct your data is. So let's write some Python code and see how that can happen. So the first thing we want to check if there is any null value in our data set. We say print. And the way we do that, we always want to make sure we wrap this in a print statement because we want to get an output, right? So print df dot is null, right? This is how we want to know null values in our data set. And we just run this cell. So as you can see, it gives you the name of the specific columns where there are 4 null values. And you can see in the street name, you have 1 true. That means there is a null value. And of course, that is true. If we go back at the top and look at this NaN, you see there. And also when you look at the number of bedrooms, you see NaN. Let's see, do we have any true? Yeah, right. So we see true and we see false. So this way it gives you an idea on where you have null values in a data set. So let's say we want to know how many the total null value in our data set. So how do we do that? Again, it's pretty straightforward. So we want to have the total number of null values in our data set. And this is just a way to get some insights in your data. And this is part of your data exploration. You were doing this for data processing or data preparation. All of these things are part of the data science tasks that you would need before preparing your data for maybe machine learning or visualization, whatever the end goal you are working with for your data set. So how do we know the total number of null values in our data set? So we go ahead and wrap in a print statement. Print. Again, our data frame. Remember, we save this CSV file into our data frame, which of course is a library that allows Python to perform the analysis that we're looking for. In subsequent video, I will talk more about what is a data frame. But today we were just doing some very basic exploratory data analysis tasks. So yeah, then wrap it is. So we say print data frame dot is null, and we want to wrap it and dot sum. Okay, so let's see what is this. So as you can see, this is how you get the specific number of null values in each column in your data set, right? Where you see PID, street name, street number, street name, unoccupied, number of bedrooms, number of the bath, square feet, and it tells you this the type of that output is an integer because these are all numbers. So thank you for watching. My name is Joe Wilson and this is Data with Joe. And again, the reason I created this channel is to share my experience and expertise in data science and cloud computing for those who are looking to make a break or join into this booming tech industry or looking for careers in cloud computing. Thank you very much for watching, and please hit the subscribe button at the end of the video if you like the materials that were produced and if you found this to be very helpful. Thank you.